Do you truly think so little of me?
Loki, I thought the world of you. I thought we were going to fight side by side forever, but at the end of the day, you're you and I'm me. And I know maybe there's still good in you, but let's be honest, our paths diverged a long time ago.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Every Marvel Movie Ever. I'm your host, Gabe Thomas. With me, as always, is your co-host, Francisco Collin. Today,
Are you exhausted? We haven't even started the episode yet.
I wish that from the start I changed the intro so I didn't have to be so fake high energy at the start of every episode.
every episode, it's always like Gabe is super high energy for the intro, and it's super down.
Yeah,
except for the random episodes where you're super hyper for like the whole time.
Because I'm and that gives the immediate opposite effect. Yeah, I agree. Well, here's what it is. I think that's exactly how the Weekly Planet starts. It's the same exact like verbal structure. Like every time I listen to that now, I'm like, I took that without thinking. Like word for word almost. I just replace it with our names and the name of our podcast, but it's the exact same intro. And I can't change it now.
Yeah,
it's been like 80 episodes.
Yeah,
but
it's been like 2 years.
I just want everyone to know that
We're a bunch of thieves.
I'm setting ourselves up for failure because that's not us.
Mm-hmm.
That's not our energy. We have to compensate for the energy post intro.
Yeah, the game was rigged from the start.
Okay, well, fuck it, whatever. Anyway, that's the intro you get. I really hope this isn't your first episode.
Yeah, if it is, welcome.
This is a much better gauge of the energy of the show. I think.
And the general vibe of the show.
Yeah. Well, anyway, today we are talking about Thor Ragnarok because 2017 is the gift that just keeps on giving. Easily the peak of the MCU, these three movies. Like, it just precipiced, and then Guardians, Spider-Man, Thor.
It's all been downhill from here.
It's been a little more bumpy from here, but there's been some major highs.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about this, and hopefully, if everything goes well, and I don't really have any reason to believe it won't, the next potential peak for the MCU, I'm hoping, would be Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Thor 4, more Thor. Like, those three. I feel like those are the next, like, 3 in a row where it's like, I have complete confidence in all of those. But before we get too deep into Thor Ragnarok, I want to make this statement by saying, if we're just talking about general MCU stuff, I think that Thor Ragnarok is the best. How do I explain it? In terms of the 3 trilogies we have, Captain America, Iron Man, and this, I think that this is the trilogy that you can watch without having to have any other context. Because I think you can watch Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, but Iron Man 3 is so about the movie The Avengers. You can watch Captain America 1 and 2, but then Civil War is all about Age of Ultron. I think you can watch Thor 1, 2, and 3 and be completely fine. Like, there's some things with the Hulk or whatever, but I feel like you can just get it.
Yeah. Without the Hulk, I feel like most of Thor's stuff is pretty self-contained, mostly because it's kind of hard to figure out how to get Thor just as a character to relate to everything else that's happening on Earth, because he's not really from there.
Yeah, and they spend like 10 minutes of this movie on Earth. Not even, probably, but... And it's not even that relevant. We always talk about how these work as trilogies, because I know there's some poor soul out there who watches them all as trilogies, is very confused.
Yeah.
But I think this is the one where you could get by, because Ragnarok I think Homecoming backwards, those are the ones I've seen a billion times. Ragnarok to now, I think I've only seen them maybe like 2 or 3 times.
They're starting to get a little too recent to where, like,
yeah,
it's kind of hard to have seen them a million times because they haven't been out for like 10 years.
I haven't seen them as many times. I've seen Far From Home a lot, actually, because I watched that a lot lately, ever since I got the Blu-ray.
I think this is only my second time seeing this.
Yeah, this is the first MCU movie in a while I remember I only saw once in the theater also, because I would see them all tons of times with friends and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just saw this like once opening weekend, and then I don't know if I saw it until it was on home media like a bunch of months later, and I don't know why, because I always think of this as one of the best movies in the MCU.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's great. I'm sure you do too, right? Like,
No, I hate it.
yeah, I love. That's another great thing about these past 3 Marvel movies. It's like I know that we're both gonna just love it and praise it for 2 hours,
Yeah.
which I really enjoy. Like
It's
I
a
like,
nice break from the DC show where we're usually trashing on the movies.
right? Yeah, but exactly. No, I really enjoy just knowing that we're at the really good ones. It's just like positivity for these, and yeah, and I have my complaints, but whatever, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like nitpick stuff that like
Nitpick
really does
stuff.
not matter.
And there are some things that I think all the stuff I don't love as much as I don't not like it. I just find it interesting to bring up, to be like, isn't this a choice?
Oh, yeah, I definitely have, like, on the way walking over here, I already had something in mind that I want to talk about.
Oh God, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. It bothered me probably more than it should have.
Because now that we're basically done with school, we're basically on our summer vacation right now, which means I have had way more prep time than usual. So I've seen this twice this week, and I watched all of Taika Waititi's other movies. So
I unfortunately did not get to that.
That's okay, but I am braced, and I hope this summer I can try to do a lot more research on all of the movies we talk about, because I really do love like watching all the movies the director made before we talk about it or something, just having a larger context. And consensus, Taika's fucking great.
Yeah.
His movies are great, and
Cool
he's
guy.
great, and he's awesome, and he's fucking Tessa Thompson or whatever.
Yeah. He's
and
in like a
with Rita Ora
Yeah.
also, yeah. I don't understand, but good for him.
People
Holy
trying
shit.
to cancel him for that for like a day?
No,
I feel like
think
they were.
I thought it was more respect than anything. I thought
Okay.
people were like, "Isn't this interesting?"
Yeah, I thought people were trying to cancel him for that, but then they realized like, yeah, that's just a thing that they're doing, and then they're just like, okay.
I think with Tessa, maybe the idea was like, is he using his power as director to?
Yeah, that'd be understandable.
Right. Which when you first hear director and star, at first I'm always like, oh, that's a different
That's always a bad
power
sign.
dynamic, right? Yeah, but no, it seems like it's all above board. I'm not worried about that at all. That's rad.
And he seems like a cool guy, so I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've never been worried about him.
Good for them.
At the same.
I hope in like 10 years it's not like, oh yeah, he was doing horrible shit.
No. That would ruin everything he's ever done, though, because he always plays such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's one of
You
the
can never
only...
look at Korg the same.
Exactly. He's one of the only directors who can put himself in all his own movies, and I don't feel like it's indulgent, because he's in like all of his movies. Sometimes cameos, sometimes he has huge roles in them or whatever. He's like one of the only ones where I'm like, no, you bettered the film by being in it, like all of these times, and that's definitely the case in this. This is also a big week for Thor content, because we got that picture of Thor 4, more Thor, where he's like huge.
That's right, yeah.
And he has tiny legs. I don't know what his proportions are like, but yeah, he's like a G.I. Joe or something. But
He looks huge.
He's bigger than he's ever been. It's insane. And we have Loki coming out tomorrow night. Or,
I didn't even think about it being tomorrow
2
night.
days if you're brave. But
Yeah.
tomorrow night for me. And we have Loki charms, of course. I don't know if you've...
I have not heard about that. I haven't been keeping up with Loki news. I was just waiting for you to be like, yeah, it's out.
There's been a Lucky Charms commercial this week, and it's Lucky Charms. He says all the red balloons, whatever, and then he goes away, and then Loki shows up, and he steals little Lucky Charms and makes them Loki Charms, and now they're selling boxes of Loki Charms. So it's kind of great.
I mean,
I'm gonna buy one for the studio.
so
obviously.
stupid, but I love it.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I kind of hate the commercial because the Loki voice is so weird. It's not Tom Hiddleston.
Oh no.
They're mischievously delicious.
But we'll talk all about Loki, because I have some thoughts about Loki.
In this movie or
in this movie?
Okay.
Oh, you know what? There's one thing I want to do. One more thing I want to do. I know that we're taking a while to get to
Yeah,
it.
we're already 10 minutes in. We haven't gotten to the movie.
This isn't a segment I ever considered, but I was on IMDb.
Oh god.
And I accidentally saw the user reviews for Thor Ragnarok, and they're kind of incredible, and I kind of wanted to read some of them out, if that's okay?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of fantastic. We'll read the listener stuff later, but this is just whatever's on IMDb. In the very first one, this has 414 upvotes, and it says, "Riot of laughter. Mom and wife and grandmother Mary really enjoyed it. Tho is a funny man." And and that's it. That's the end of the review. the header is MCU Rocks, and then it says MCU, and then it says MCU Rocks. Ha ha ha, I am so cool. This was an introduction to Mr. Thor from MCU, and it was funny, marvelous, and fabulous. All of us in the theater, there was so long a queue to get in. Laughed, Ned laughed, and we all decided to start a letter writing campaign to Mr. Disney to beg for more. What are the chances you will be kind and make more films of MCU? We would love it.
That's definitely not a native English speaker.
No, but at the same time, I kind of love this idea of this entire theater rallying together to write letters to Disney to ask
Mr. Disney
for more MCU films. And now we get into the ones that I really wanted to read out, because those were just the warm-ups, Franny. These are the ones I really wanted to read out. A very angry man, children.
Yeah, I was going to say, are we going to read the 1-star reviews?
These are just sorted by, like, whatever has the most interactions. We are about to find out if Thor the God Thunder really exists or not. We are about to find out. They turned Thor into a loser who is constantly delivering gags. I am glad they satisfied the 5-year-olds who are Marvel's audience, but anyone who is serious should read the comic books instead. The famously serious Thor comic books, where he talks in, like, literal
Old
text,
English with a fucking completely different font from everyone else.
Exactly. Disney, the destroyer of Marvel. Whoever hired the money-grubbing, preteen-satisfying sycophant has no clue about Marvel, Thor, or Norse mythology, deserves the same fate as all the positive reviewers of this joke of an insult. I know that sounds like I'm reading it wrong. I'm not. This is exactly how this is written.
I mean, it is the internet.
Everybody's complaining that he's too funny. Preteens and toddlers ahoy. Hello, preteens. Marvel and Disney has another one for you. So if you loved Cinderella and watched the entire DVD collection of Little Pony and are currently watching Arthur every morning as you eat your Cheerios, Marvel is here for you. It is called Ragnarok. It is funny. It is spoofy. It teaches you about another land and it has nothing whatsoever to do with action, mythologies, metaphors, or Thor. And I'm so sorry. If you're hating this, I could stop reading it.
No, keep going.
I love this. Nolan's Batman showed that comic books can appeal to adults. Disney is doing its best to push comic and former superheroes back into the realm of pre-teenagers. Why adults don't buy as many toys, lunchboxes, flasks, and posters as kiddies. Thor is now a joke and doesn't know he is the god of thunder. So all these people are suggesting that these superheroes were not meant for children when they were all meant for children. Like, these movies are meant for children. And they appeal to everybody. But when you think about it,
you know what?
Batman is made for, like, 8-year-olds.
Oh, yeah. I'm very curious how these people feel about Endgame Thor. They'd have a fucking field day with that.
Oh, God, there's so many of them. Okay, like, here's a really good one to end on, I think. This is what it looks like when the enemies of Thor make a movie about him. The usual woman is stronger than man rubbish, and Thor cannot even remember what his powers are, or the god of what he is. F you, Disney and preteens who like this. All of these are
these all written by the same people?
The next one says, I guess, for preteens. So, and preteens is, like, hyphenated every time. If you want to watch a movie produced by Disney, orchestrated solely around 8-year-olds, they all call it False Thor. Can you say Shark Boy and Lava Girl? It's a bad children's movie. Another one that says Ragnarok. So, character assassination is easier to tell that the producer and director are not into Thor. Marvel, what a shame. Choked by jokes.
It seriously sounds like a lot of these are written by the same, like, 2 or 3 people, just with, like, the way that they're phrased.
Have the same attitude. Thor shouldn't be funny, and this is for children.
Yeah, I also like that they still compliment it in their negative review. It's too funny. So the jokes are good?
No one says it's not funny. They just say it shouldn't be funny.
Like, okay.
Yeah, no one actually has a problem
Backhanded
with it.
compliment?
Humor in the film. Okay, anyway. I think that this film starts out with, aside from him entering Wakanda, that's my favorite Thor action sequence, is the start of this movie.
Yeah, I feel like this movie already starts better than, like, either of the Thor movies combined.
Right. I think that this has more references to the previous 2 Thor movies than I often feel like it does. Like, there's a lot of Dark World content in this.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount.
And then they go to Dark World and Endgame. It's like they keep trying to shove Dark World on everybody, which
It's like, I'm sorry, Marvel, we just don't like it.
I find that so interesting. It's like Damage Control. They're like, oh, this is the one people don't like. We're going to reference it constantly. It's like a gag.
Yeah, I never realized how much, like in any of the Thor-related movies, how much they actually reference the Dark World. But it's
Right.
in like every single one. Like there's decent chunks of each movie
Oh,
that
yeah.
have to do with Dark World.
Used to its best in this, I think.
He fought back those disgusting elves.
Entire play sequence is absolute masterclass. Do you
Yeah.
think, okay, between the last 3 movies we talked about, which one do you think is the funniest? Because they're all fucking hilarious.
I think this one might actually be the funniest one. I think out of all of them, this is probably the one that got me to actually like laugh the most.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think this is also maybe more outright a comedy than the other two.
Yeah, definitely.
I think, but then it also has incredible action and great sci-fi concepts, so it's not just a comedy and forgets about everything
there are
else.
still serious character moments and everything. So like
Oh yeah.
it's definitely a comedy first, but it's not that it just abandons everything else.
Yes.
Because that
no,
definitely would have
exactly.
been bad. That would have felt a little out of place.
That's a very good way to put it. And definitely, you're definitely right, because this still has all of the emotional beats and all of the great action sequences while also being hilarious. And there's no scene that doesn't have a bunch of jokes in it, but all the jokes, there's very few jokes that fall flat for me.
And they're all well placed, I would say, for the most part. Because some of the quips can feel a little out of place in a lot of MCU movies, but I feel like the comedic timing on this one is pretty good.
It doesn't have that Guardians 2 moment where the tumor in the head and then he turns into David Hasselhoff and they're making jokes a second later. Like,
Yeah.
the serious stuff has time.
It's taken seriously when it needs to be.
And there isn't as much stuff like that, I don't think, as there is in the other ones. I think this has less serious stuff than those movies do.
Oh, yeah. Like, by a long
By a
shot.
lot. But, yeah, it never suffers for it. And it's also a sequel to the first Thor. Like, you get Loki talking about how, you know, he doesn't know what he is because he's half frost giant or whatever. You get Thor talking about how Odin banished out all of his problems and sending him to Earth and all that. So that's why I think it's the best, like, third installment in terms of a sequel to the other movies. But other than that, yeah, that opening action scene, you get the joke, and you get your first skeleton, which is a hint at later skeletons to come, which we will talk about. And you get an Infinity Stone reference because this came out Infinity War fever. Everybody was thinking about Infinity War all the time. The first trailer was probably out by this point.
I was trying to remember. Had they announced Infinity War yet?
Oh, they announced it forever ago, but I think the trailer was out by this point.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what, like, the time frame of this movie, like, what was happening at the time, because I remember seeing at the end of the movie that it said Thor will return in Infinity War, and I was like, okay, how far into Infinity War fever are we?
Pretty.
Like, did it just start, or are we, like, right in the middle of
This
it?
might have been.
Because this is the movie that technically comes right before Infinity
The
War.
first
so,
scene of Infinity War
yeah, is literally right after this.
5 minutes after this movie ends, exactly. Which is another complaint I think some people have, where it's like, oh, but is the ending of this movie pointless? Yes, but that's the point, and we'll
Yeah,
talk about
that's
that
the whole
later.
point.
I hate that criticism. Where it's like, why did they waste all the time getting everyone? Because it's fucking tragic.
That's-
Did you watch the movie?
That's the point. You set up Thanos.
Yeah, that's horrifying, because we literally watch those people get saved. They're not just random people, but...
Yeah, we will ignore how many times they emphasize that Asgard is not a place, it's a people.
And then
right
you,
at the beginning of Infinity War.
and then you kill the people,
Yeah.
and then they're... Okay, no more Asgard,
destroy
I
the
guess.
place and the people.
Yeah, and then you can have a little village in Norway or whatever.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Norway, there's that whole thing. This could be Asgard.
I actually forgot about that.
The Odin stuff?
Yeah, well, not the Odin
Oh,
stuff,
just-
just that line specifically,
Okay.
and then, like, New Asgard, or I think
Right,
that's what it was
yeah.
called,
Yes,
being
that's
in
exactly what it was
Norway.
called. Great,
Yeah,
right?
I totally forgot that was even a thing that happened, but...
There's so much. Yeah, this is... Again, this is great lead into Infinity War, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only movie that we have in between is Black Panther, and that takes place closer to Civil War.
Yeah,
So,
that's like... Yeah, I mean, I don't think... Is there, like, a specific amount of time after Civil War that it was?
well, he watches the newscast of his dad's death, and I think they say, like, this was 2 weeks ago or something like
Okay.
that. So I think it's
Yeah.
just very shortly after. this is great lead-in, and you get that Infinity Stones reference right at the start, because we're all thinking, what's going on with the Infinity Stones at this point? Everyone's still wanting to know where the Soul Stone is, because at this point it's the only one where we don't know where it is. And he just says it right away. It's like, there's no Infinity Stones in this movie, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Which is great. And then you get the sequence with Surtur, which is like the best looking thing ever. Like, it's just a giant fire demon. That's what you want to see Thor fight. That's great. And there's also that progression of, he was fighting the frost giants forever ago, and now he's moved to the other end of the spectrum fighting these, and it's voiced by Clancy Brown, Mr. Krabs, or Lex Luthor. And
It's always my favorite to hear his voice in things, because
he's great.
no, I love him.
We support our voice actor friends. We have to stand by them because they're great, and they too seldom get real recognition. He's also in Daredevil, though, I think, as just like a guy.
Yeah,
So that's
I feel
a
like
little
I remember
world-breaking. That's a
Yeah.
little world-breaking, but whatever. But anyway, you get that wonderful action sequence with, again, establishes the comedy when he's in the cage, and you got the chain is turning and you can't see Sir while he's talking to him or whatever, and that's great. And you get, that's what heroes do, and he has the huge fight where he fights Surtur, he gets the skull, and then he fights the dragon.
Yeah, fights a fucking dragon.
And then we get Scourge, played by Karl Urban, and he's in Asgard, and he's just showing these Asgardian ladies all of his stuff.
These fucking AK-47s.
Yeah, Des and Troy. He's got that, he's got a shake weight, just all this, like, useless shit that he's collected.
Yeah, I love Scourge.
He's a fun character. Like, it sucks that we'll never see him again.
Yeah.
But he's great in this. He's a fun character. And you get that, and then you get a dragon decapitated by the Bifrost, which is the first great use of the Bifrost in this movie. There's two of them in pretty rapid succession. But that's fantastic. Like, you get a traditional Thor fights a giant fire demon, an army of guys, with the hammer, which,
Things happen with the hammer in this movie.
Exactly. But I think that they also give us this huge hammer-based action scene. That way we don't miss it completely. It's like, okay, we got the hammer, and then we can enjoy the other stuff.
Yeah.
Because they know that's what we want to see for a lot of it.
We want to see the hammer go bonk.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, go to horny jail. It's this fantastic action sequence, and I just love the imagery of him fighting a demon and him fighting a dragon. And it's like, that's what you think of when you think of, like, old Norse stuff.
Yeah.
I've been playing God of War. I'm almost done. But yeah, so it's been on my mind. Which leads to the fantastic Asgard sequence with Loki, which ties into the end of the Dark World. That's the twist in that movie, is Loki's alive and he's taken over Odin, and that's actually explained. And you see Loki as Odin. He doesn't give a shit about anything. He's just watching plays of himself.
Eating grapes.
Eating grapes, where he's played by Matt Damon, and Thor is played by Luke Hemsworth,
Yeah.
and Odin's played by Sam Neill, who Taika had worked with in one of his other movies.
Yeah,
And he's
I
great.
love that so much.
It's so much fun. My favorite part of that entire I mean, it's all great.
Yeah.
I love whoever's playing Sif, and they're like, Sif, go get help. And she's
Yeah.
just like, somebody
Yeah.
help! And she runs away.
Lady Sif, get help!
But my favorite part is the little blue boy, and he's just
Yeah.
like not paying attention, like looking off to the side and stuff. While Odin's giving the worst speech about how important Loki is. Matt Damon's telling him to build a statue of him or whatever with the
the
big
big
bendy
horns.
horns. Yeah, it's like the most cartoony version of what would Loki do if he had rule of Asgard. I guess it's just that.
Yeah, just make statues of himself,
Which-
watch plays of himself.
Maybe kind of lowers the stakes of the first Thor movie, where it's like, oh, I guess if he ruled Asgard like he wanted, this is just what he would have done. I guess he wouldn't have been that great a leader. And Thor was gonna cave his fucking head in with that hammer.
Absolutely.
I watched this in pretty rapid succession this week, seeing it twice, but I got anxiety both times because like it really looks like it's gonna hit him in the head.
so close.
In these movies, you get this with Chris Evans in The Dark World, also in the best scene of that movie, the Captain America cameo. I love seeing someone play Loki playing them. Like,
Yeah.
I love watching Anthony Hopkins Damn.
No, his name is forbidden on this show.
I love watching him.
Yeah, he
play...
who must not be named.
I love watching him play Loki playing him. I think it's fantastic. And then you get you had one job and Scourge running over. It's all the greatest lines. I'll just recite all of them for you guys. Don't even fucking worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. I'm happy to do it.
We have the script pulled up. We're just the rest of the episode is just gonna be a live reading of the entire Thor Ragnarok script.
This is also more connected to the wider MCU than either the previous Thor movies, I think.
Yeah.
Like, while I say you can watch this while having only seen the other two Thor movies, there's a whole bunch of superheroes in this. Shortly after this, we fucking hang out with Doctor Strange for a while, which is such a great surprise. And it wasn't really a surprise, because you get the end credit scene of
Yeah, we knew
Doctor
it was going to
Strange.
happen.
Part of me wishes they didn't do that. And that was a surprise. Could you imagine
that would have
seeing that portal? And
that would have been
like,
incredible.
that would have blown my mind, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Same thing with Hulk. Could you imagine if he wasn't in the marketing? Like,
yeah.
Because they never hint at that, like, he's going to be the champion ever until you see him.
Mm-hmm.
That would have blown my mind, I think. Both of those, but you can't have any surprises anymore, turns out. Unless you're the Red Skull, you can't have any surprises. No, I love the whole Doctor Strange scene. They instantly figured that character out after this. Like, his movie is fine.
They were starting to get an idea of how he would work in the MCU in his own movie, but especially in his time he gets in this, you really start to get an idea of like, yeah, this makes sense for this to be how his character works now.
And he's been learning. Like, he is so much quicker than he was previously. But he's still sarcastic like he was anyway. Like, it doesn't feel like they've changed the characterization. It just feels like the character's learned a lot more about magic and all that. I really love whenever any of these superhero movies just have another superhero movie in it. Like, I love that we got a Planet Hulk movie and it's a Thor movie. That's great.
Yeah.
I love Winter Soldier has Black Widow in it, and she's in the whole movie. Like, I really love when we'll just do, this is a solo movie, but it also has another character who's the focus. Spider-Man does that also, to a lesser extent. It's not as much of like a buddy superhero movie as these ones are, but that, Iron Man's in that all over the place.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what Guardians 3 is going to be, because Thor is going to be probably in that whole movie too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think they'll be in each other's movies. I don't think Thor's going to be in that movie that much. I think he'll just be in it at the start. I think
maybe.
I think what's going to happen is the start of Guardians, or I guess Thor's first, the start of Thor, they'll be hanging out at the start, and then they'll go their separate ways, and we'll see where Thor goes, and then Guardians, we'll see that interaction, and we'll see where they go, kind of thing. I think they'll branch off.
Yeah.
But I would love just like one Thor and the Guardians action sequence. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yeah,
to
that'd
watch,
be great.
Like the opening of Guardians 2 mixed with the opening of this movie. Like, that's what I want.
Like, we always, obviously in like the Avengers movies and stuff, we obviously expect like team ups and everything to happen. But I feel like because we always expect it in those movies, it makes it more special when it happens in like movies like this, where it's a Thor movie. Why would we get the Hulk in it? That doesn't make very much sense out of context.
Exactly, yeah. No, that's what I mean, yeah. Because the team-up movies, I love seeing those guys get together, but that's different, because that's the point.
Yeah.
I like when you have a solo movie and you're like, why don't we just throw Hulk in here?
Yeah, it's like that's a weird combo, but okay.
It's a great idea. And we get, a little... She's not literally in the movie, but we do get a Black Widow moment later in the movie. Like, there's plenty of Avengers in this, basically, and I really love that. And I just love how Stephen Strange plays off of Thor. Like, those are two characters who both have vaguely magic powers. One of them's actual magic, one of them's science magic, whatever.
Yeah, one of them's an alien.
Yeah, one of them's alien, I guess. But those two characters, it makes sense for them to kind of interact, and we never get to see them interact afterwards. I hope we get to see it again.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever talk in Infinity War or Endgame.
No, they're in like completely different parts of the universe.
Right,
so.
yeah. Oh, yeah, well, definitely Infinity War.
Yeah.
But Endgame, they're on that field, and I don't think they do anything together.
No.
But, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, there was just a couple things happening.
Yeah. But no, putting him in this is great, and it's a brief scene, but that one core gag they have of him just transporting Thor to different places and Thor breaking all the shit in the Sanctum Sanctorum, it works so effectively.
Yeah, it's just like with how the MCU works, this movie is kind of what shows, like, when you build up an entire universe, you can have stuff like this happen.
Right.
Like, this is stuff that you can get from it. You can just throw other superheroes in solo movies, because, yeah, it would make sense that they're all existing at the same time. They're not their own isolated things, so, yeah, they're going to interact with each other.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, Doctor Strange is going to talk to Thor and be like, why'd you bring Loki to Earth, you fucking idiot?
I'm glad that we can have moments like that, and they don't need to prep us for it. Phase 1 superhero movies and even like X-Men movies were always so embarrassed to be too comic booky. That's why the X-Men always had leather outfits, and why, you know, Spider-Man was never interacting with any other superheroes or whatever. It's like you have to brace the audience for that, but we have this whole universe based around all these characters interacting, so you can just throw a wizard in there 20 minutes in. It's 15 minutes in, basically.
And it doesn't feel weird.
And it doesn't feel weird at all. And that's kind of the power of the MCU. You can do that shit, and nobody really cares about it. You think any other superhero universe ever could have a show about a witch and a robot living in their little sitcom world, and then they all shoot 100 lasers at each other? You can't do that anymore. Thank God. No.
Piece of shit show.
No, it's not. It's not. No. No, I'm not against it. One of my
Let's
lesser...
move on before you get canceled.
But that whole thing is great, and that has so many great jokes before they even go into the sanctum. So many of the best deliveries in this whole movie are reactions to a funny line. Well, like, you know, I'm not a witch, then why'd you dress like one? He's just like, hey, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah.
The line itself is funny, but it's his reaction that makes it really funny. Same with all the Stephen Strange deliveries. They'll have an interaction, and he's like, I don't have a computer, and he's like, okay. Anyway, like, he'll just be like, why, this guy's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, there's a lot of very charismatic people in this movie, and they all have really great chemistry together, so it just seems like it's very easy for them to just play off each other whenever they make a joke. Like, it just seems pretty natural.
What do you think the best joke is for you, if you had to pick your favorite joke in the movie? Because in the theater there were two especially, and I don't even know if they're ones you would expect, but it's the I've been falling for 30 minutes. The first time I heard that,
yeah, I love that one.
It's brilliant. Like, that idea that there's nothing, like, he didn't put him anywhere.
Yes, he was just in a void.
In a void. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and the delivery is great.
I have been falling for 30 minutes.
I think the biggest laugh, it's the simplest joke in the entire movie, I think, but when he throws that ball against
That is exactly what I was
against
thinking
the
of.
window, it cracks him in the skull. It's just,
and then he gets up, and that's what heroes do, and then he jumps out of a window. Big action scene.
You're not even thinking about it. Like, I think the first time I was trying to, like, keep track of what the characters were saying, and Hulk throws Thor the ball, and I was still just listening, and then he throws it, and then like the second before it hit him in the head, that's why I realized what was happening.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other jokes in the movie, but when you asked, that is like automatically what I went to.
I think one of the hardest jokes for me to watch, because it's so violent, and I'll tell you why in a second, why I think this feels so violent to me. It's towards the end when Bruce Banner jumps on to the Bifrost and he just smacks against it.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going to
to the ground.
Yeah, he thinks he's going to transform into the Hulk. It's the exact same thing that happens in The Incredible Hulk, where he jumps out of the helicopter thinking he's going to be the Hulk, and then he isn't, and then he hits the ground. Mm-hmm. It's the same gag, but he just hits the fucking floor so hard.
It's a combination of, like, the audio design, but also just him, like, hitting the ground and just, like, tumbling.
He's
dead.
He's dead.
He is completely stiff. Like,
yeah, exactly.
He could very well just have been dead.
And I think the reason that feels so violent is because any movie where a character, like, jumps off a bridge to commit suicide or falls from a far distance, you never see the impact because they die, and that would be cruel to see that entire fall. But since he doesn't die, you can just show that happen, and it is so violent. Like, there's no blood, but it just horrid.
Looks awful.
Watching that the second time this week, I was like, oh god damn, I have to watch that again. Like, it's so vicious. What a violent joke for this movie, but I fucking love it.
Yeah.
It's great. And there's a lot of very dirty jokes in this movie, like surprisingly so, I think. You have the orgy ship.
Yeah.
You have the devil.
Don't touch anything.
That's another one of my favorite jokes, actually, is the birthday button. That killed me
Yeah.
the first time I saw it, because it's just the most insane thing I've ever seen, that Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum's ship has a fireworks happy birthday
And
button.
everything, 4 orgies. Like, presumably, he gets in that ship on his birthday,
Yeah.
has weird birthday sex, and presses that button. And anything Jeff Goldblum says also in this is funny every time.
Jeff Goldblum is always great in pretty much anything just because of how incoherent of a person he is in general.
He's just so uninterested in following normal sentence structure, and I love it.
Yeah, his performances are always so weird, but in the best way.
Here's my favorite Jeff Goldblum clip.
Why do you think Spider-Man is such an important part of the MCU? Because there may be a little divorce happening.
No, this is the first I've heard of it.
Save Spider-Man?
I'm crestfallen. Save? What's happening? I didn't know any of this. I'm not a business person. You're speaking, whatever you say is Greek to me, but all the mountains of Produttore and I don't know. It'll all work out, I'm sure. Good luck. I'll figure it out.
Anything Korg says is very charming and great, and that's a very New Zealand form of comedy, I think.
We didn't make enough pamphlets.
Yeah, exactly. Even the revolution jokes are great.
Yeah.
And the rock, paper, scissors joke,
Little rock, paper, scissors joke.
which becomes a theme later. Like, I don't want to explain it.
Meek existing.
He's scissors. The pamphlets were the paper. That defeated the rock. And then later, the rock crushes the scissors. And then the scissors, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's fine. But he thinks that he crushed him.
Yeah.
So there's a full,
I stumped him.
a full rock, paper, scissors joke throughout the entire movie. Like, that's a theme of the movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Everything
fantastic.
involving Korg is great, and I'm glad that he's in hopefully the entire future of the MCU, because I love him. He's like one of the best characters in the entire MCU.
He's just so gentle constantly. Just,
Yeah.
Hey, man.
We're gonna jump on the ship. You want to come?
Yeah, I just love all of his deliveries. He's so fun. It being Taika himself is great. I don't think I even knew it was him the first time I saw this movie, because I'd seen What We Do in the Shadows a bunch of times, but I don't think I knew as much about him as I know now.
Yeah, I definitely didn't know it was him, and I would not have thought that was his natural voice for some reason.
Well, it definitely is.
Yeah, that's just how he talks.
I've watched
which
so
I
much
love.
of him recently, and yeah, that's definitely him. He's a great actor too. Like, whenever he's in any of his other movies, Jojo Rabbit, he's Hitler in that, obviously. Where he infamously didn't do any research because Hitler's a prick.
Yeah, because why the fuck would you need to do research on Hitler when it's a imaginary character in that movie anyway?
But I think that's a lie. I think he did do research, because there's some things where it's like directly, oh, Hitler didn't do that. And I think that's the joke. Like that whole movie, Hitler's offering the kid cigarettes and Hitler didn't smoke or whatever. Like, I think he did a little bit of research. But
Maybe those are just
I love
random
him.
things that he knew about Hitler.
That's actually way more likely.
Yeah,
That's
he
way
just
more
knew
likely.
random facts that he just threw into the movie.
What do you think about this movie visually? Because I think it's mostly kind of incredible, but there are
It has
some
a
moments.
very unique style to it. I feel like this
Yeah.
is one of the brighter movies,
Right, yeah.
just kind of in the general color scheme.
People really hate Norway in this. The way Norway looks, and I don't hate it, but it's so clearly
It
like
could be better.
It's clearly like a green screen sky,
Yeah.
and he's just standing on a set. Like, I wish I didn't feel that way, but I think that might be the stagiest place in the MCU. Like,
Definitely.
I feel
yeah.
like in any of these movies, because they all look pretty fantastic. You can complain about the cinematography, but most of the time you guys are idiots and don't know what you're talking about. But, not that I know what I'm talking about, but shut up.
Obviously, Gabe knows
Shut up.
so much more than any of you.
Definitely not true. But at the same time, I've heard the arguments. They're bad. But no, I do think Norway is one of the weakest looking areas in the MCU. It's just kind of off.
Every time they show it, it just doesn't feel like a real place. Like even in Endgame, I feel like it just doesn't feel like a real place.
I think Endgame
It does it a little better, but
No, you're definitely right. But I think Endgame has the benefit of most of those scenes are inside. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of that's inside Thor's cabin or whatever instead of being outside. But no, you're probably right. It kind of works as this ethereal, almost afterlife area for Odin because he's just been banished here, but I guess it is Norway. Like, it's kind of hard to keep track of exactly
he's
where
just
he
sitting
is.
on a cliff somewhere in Norway.
But I like the scene a lot. That's another one of the core emotional scenes of the movie. It's just him having those final moments, and there's lots of repetition of things he said in the other Thor movies. And I like that. And that's a moment where it's like, yeah, Thor and Loki have both grown as characters. Because Loki's never evil in this. He does some shitty stuff, but he's not evil anymore. Which I think is fine. I think he wanted to be the king all this time, and now he was the king. He's kind of bored by it, probably. And he's realized he's wasted a lot of his life.
I feel like, if anything, he's more of like a neutral evil at this point. Like, he was like chaotic evil, and he's like neutral evil at this point.
That's
like, it's
probably
just like
it.
He's not entirely bad, but he's not great either.
Well, he has that line later to Bruce Banner where he's like, you know, it varies from moment to moment on whether or not he wants to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Which is another, I love the dynamic between those two, but we'll talk about Bruce.
Yeah, he pretty much is just doing whatever he feels like at this point. It's just whatever he wants to do, he'll do it.
Yeah. I thought I was sick of Loki, but I don't know if I am after watching this again. I think
I do really like Loki in this movie.
I don't think it's his best performance acting-wise. I think the first Thor movie is still his best, like, theater-esque performance, but I think this is my favorite of his turns as Loki, I think.
Yeah.
I really enjoy him in this. I think he's very funny, but he's never a complete comedy character.
I feel like he's one of the more serious characters, even though he does have some of the more, like, memorable jokes in this movie.
That's true. But the one moment, there's like a plane. Fuck. Wouldn't that be great if we just caught that?
Yeah, we got caught in a fucking nuclear explosion in the middle
died.
of doing the podcast.
It's fine. Whatever. No, there is one moment towards the end where it's like, that's out of character for this version of Loki, where he's on the spaceship and he's like,
Your savior is here!
I feel like he's grown out of that. That's a weird line for him to have, I think.
I think it's whatever.
I don't know
It
if
was
that
a little
fits.
weird, yeah.
But that's his only moment that I'm against in any way. I really like him in this. It's made me really excited for the Loki show because I wasn't as excited, but I haven't watched any of the trailers, but people tell me they look really weird, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be really good.
In my, like, YouTube recommended, like, every single day, I keep getting, like, recommendations for, oh, look, Marvel posted this 30-second clip.
There's so much,
like,
yeah.
2 every other day. Like, just put out the show already.
Yeah, everyone's gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Why do they even market anymore? I really wish these movies just didn't have trailers anymore. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yeah.
Other than Spider-Man, which just give me a fucking trailer for it.
We just want something.
Just give me a second. Like, I would love just a 58-second trailer, and then there's no other trailers.
Yeah, I
ever.
mean, technically we have one trailer.
Yeah, I guess.
The title reveal.
Doesn't count. Does not count.
But
give me more.
Something about Loki. I feel like a lot of people's problem with Loki isn't the actual character, because I feel like a lot of people do like him. I think the problem is just that there have been so many fake outs with him of like, oh, look, he's dead, but not really. He's done that like 3 times at this point.
They found a loophole, though. It's not really that Loki.
I'm sure he'll be back in the greater MCU by the end of that show, but...
Yeah, well, he ripped a man's eyeball out of his head, like maybe 8 hours before that. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, maybe there's more of an evil tilt than the Loki in this. Okay. But I don't think it's gonna be by much.
Well, I won't judge a show I haven't seen yet, but I just hope that they tread lightly on that characterization.
Yeah, they could very easily mess it up, and that would be really unfortunate, because Loki in this movie is good.
Yeah, he's great. And he had such a powerful final moment in Infinity War.
Mm-hmm.
It was beautiful. So don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. But at the same time, in that scene, he looks at Thor and says, "The sun will shine on us again," which I think in 5 years, when Loki's chilling out with Thor again, people are going to point back to that line and be like, "Oh my god, it was planned all along." You know what? It probably was, but don't do that.
Yeah.
Stop killing him. You're right. This is the fucking third time.
Yeah. So this time, I swear to God, if he dies at the end of the show,
That'd be kind of hilarious.
It would be so funny, but Jesus Christ.
If he died for real.
Stop killing him.
You can't kill him in a way better than how he got killed last time, though.
Yeah, there's no topping him getting his fucking neck snapped by Thanos.
That's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
That's how that movie started, and it was terrifying.
Uh-huh.
Why are you messing with success, guys? Who knows?
Yeah, maybe it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll probably be fine, but don't fuck it up, Kevin.
Don't fuck it up, Kevin, because you've given us no reason to trust you in the past.
Yeah.
But this whole movie, visually, aside from the Norway scene, has like that 70s aesthetic, but not in the way that anyone else uses it. Like, there's this one moment, and it's when Thor first meets Jeff Goldblum, and there's this like rainbow of robot-looking. I don't even know how to describe it.
It's like the art that they use for like the logo, like that kind of like coloring.
Right,
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, and they just have such bright colors on all these guys, and they look like trashy 70s robot henchmen and like a bad Flash Gordon knockoff or whatever.
Yeah,
and I love it. Like that's the vibe of the movie, is like kind of trashy 70s stuff. Like the place where Hulk lives, it's like this insane hexagonal red and white walls, which Thor even points out at a point. So I love that look of this. It's not as outwardly pretty as the Guardians movies are, but it's kind of grimy.
I mean, the vast majority of this movie does take place on a trash planet. So
yeah. But I love how Taika used that.
Yeah,
how
it's just
he was able to.
They painted all over a bunch of trash and made a city out of it. So
right.
It looks about what you'd expect from painted trash.
I guess so. Well, it worked for me. Maybe my standards are just that low. But
no, I mean, it looks good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying it looks bad, not at all. But
at the same time, we talk about that grungy 70s stuff in this, but there's also at least 2 shots in this that are like, for me, all-time MCU shots. One of them is towards the start where it's Thor and there's the dragon chasing him, and it just goes really wide, and you just see that chase happening and Thor getting farther and farther away. And then the second one is when you see the Valkyrie flashback, and like the first shot of that is
that whole sequence was great.
Yeah, it's similar to the scene in Wonder Woman, actually, when she's being told the story of Ares, and it's all like those paintings.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
In the same year. This was after that. But,
suspicious.
Parallel thinking. I'll take it. They're not exactly the same, but they are very similar. Do you think the Quinjet should be able to go into space?
Absolutely not.
Me either.
Those are literally just planes.
He got really far into space.
Yeah, he really, really did.
How'd he get there?
Who the fuck knows?
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think about the villain of this film?
Hela. One of the weaker ones.
You think she's hella rad for him?
No, I think she's the opposite. There are things that are almost interesting about her, but I feel like she really just doesn't do enough in this movie to really be that great of a villain. Mm-hmm. Her motivation is kind of generic. It's just, I want power. I want to take over all the realms.
It's rightfully hers, Franny. Odin covered it all up. I do really enjoy that this movie never tries to paint Odin as a good person. Like, he never was, and they never make it sound like he was in any of these.
Yeah, I'm glad that, like, I feel like they never try to claim that Odin is a good guy, but at the same time, they're like, oh, look how good of a king he is to the Asgardians. He's Thor's dad.
Yeah.
But then in this, they're like, yeah, he committed, like, space genocide.
Exactly. A lot.
Yeah, a lot of genocide.
I like that plot point. I like that whole scene where she's uncovering all the shit, and it's just like everything's horrid.
I'm just doing what I used to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is nothing new.
I don't know how I feel about her. I think she's mid-tier at best, probably.
Yeah, maybe, like, the lower end of mid-tier.
Right.
Like, I'd say she's a low C.
But we've also had some great villains lately. Like
Yeah.
Ego,
But that makes
and
it so much
Vulture.
worse.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Like, we've had
Comparatively, it's not
like
great.
stuff that's so good, and then comparing it just in this phase alone, it's like she sucks.
Yeah,
like,
I guess she doesn't ruin it for me ever.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying just like in comparison, she's so much worse.
Yeah, and then
In
we have-
reality, she's just okay.
And
Like,
and she's also sandwiched in between those two guys, and then we get like Killmonger and Thanos, who are
Yeah.
both great. Also, like it's
like
hit after hit, other than her, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And she's not even bad. And I really love the scene where she's telling everybody in Asgard who she is, and they clearly weren't listening to
Yeah.
her. And she has that.
do a word that I
She
said.
has that line. I love that line. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And her delivery is fantastic in that.
Whoever I am, did you listen to a word I said?
Kate Blanchett's a classy lady. Her and Carla Urban are both in Lord of the Rings. I know. I just want to put that there. Anyway. No, she's
good to know.
fine. She's just...
She's just very generic. I mean, she's literally the god of death. Like, how many times has that been a villain thing?
Constantly. And she has very vague powers where just sharp stuff just comes out of the ground.
Yeah, it's like, it looks like she just has knives, but then eventually she's able to just pull like a shard of the planet out of the ground to stop the ship.
I guess so.
I don't
know what it is.
I don't know what her powers are.
I don't like her weird helmet. I don't like when
her weird hair
when
helmet.
She switches the hair to
Yeah,
the helmet.
she
It's
slits
bad.
her hair back and it turns into a helmet.
She does it constantly.
Yeah.
She does it once in every scene she's in.
She turns into a fucking deer.
Yeah, but what I do love is that she has a fucking undead skeleton army.
Yeah.
That is the greatest. Those are the greatest henchmen in the
And a
entire
big
MCU.
zombie dog.
And a big giant dog, which doesn't look like a CGI dog. It just looks like a big dog that they filmed and put in the movie.
Yeah, it literally looks like it's just a big black dog.
Which I love.
They just
I
put in
love
front
the
of a
dog.
green screen.
Yeah,
Mostly had him
exactly.
just sit in front of the green screen. Took some shots of it.
Right.
Just put him in the background.
That's how it feels, and I'm amazed that Taika didn't just do that. Like, it feels like something he would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the dog, and I love the fucking skeleton army. That's my favorite henchman army in any
On
of
the
these
show.
movies.
You know we love our skeletons.
We love skeletons. We love boys turning into skeletons. So her having a fucking army of skeletons is so great. Also, because they're skeletons, you can kill them in the most gruesome ways imaginable and nobody cares.
Just tear them apart.
Like, they get cut down the middle, they get decapitated, like the grisliest...
They get their limbs cut off.
Yeah, the grisliest things ever happen to them, and it is so satisfying to watch. I really enjoy all of that. I think the biggest continuity error in this whole movie is she's like, I need Heimdall's sword to open the Bifrost. But in the first Thor movie, Loki just does it with his staff to let all the frost giants in. He just does it. Like, it doesn't even matter. So, whatever, I guess.
Maybe she doesn't have... Maybe it's the Bifrost and that staff. Maybe the staff is a backup.
It's not. It's the staff. No, because when Thor's sitting in that chair, he's holding the staff.
Yeah.
It's Odin's staff, not Loki's staff, sorry.
Yeah.
But either way, it's there. It's in the movie. So they clearly also knew it existed and didn't care.
Yeah, just...
Whatever. We get Heimdall in it. He's in it much less than he's in the other ones.
I am glad he's in this movie, though.
I'm
I do
glad
like
he's
Heimdall.
in it. He's great. And he has a great
all
final
of Thor's
moment.
friends are killed instantly.
Yeah, let's talk about our favorite clowns for any. The Warriors
Zachary
3,
Levi and the other guy.
Fandral, Volstagg, and Hogun. Those are their names. They all die.
Yeah.
Which is kind of hilarious.
2 out of 3 of them without a single line in the movie.
Exactly.
They're just there, and they get like 3 daggers through the chest when
And-
Hela gets there, and they just die.
Sif, the one useful one of them, isn't even in the movie.
Yeah.
It's never even mentioned.
Yeah, they don't
Never
even talk
explained.
about her.
I like her. I hope she comes back for another movie. I like her in those Thor
Didn't they
movies. but-
confirm that she was going to be in Thor 4 More Thor?
Good. I hope so.
Hela is really only here so that there can be the big twist that they're not stopping Ragnarok, they gotta cause it,
Gotta
and
cause
then to
it.
get all the Asgardians onto the ship
It's
so
a
that they
good
can set up for
twist.
Infinity War.
I like
yeah,
it.
I do like that, but
I love him.
that has nothing to do with Hela being
It's true.
in
It has
the
nothing
movie.
to do with her. She's pretty whatever, unfortunately. And also, it's like,
You have
God damn it.
You have Jeff Goldblum as like a secondary antagonist in this movie.
Yeah, you can't
and you have
compete.
Hela as your main one.
Can't compete, man. It's as good as it gets.
Yeah, the game was rigged from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Once again.
Yeah.
Again, just like we talked about with our fucking Catwoman episode, this is the first.
Nobody can get the women right.
This is the first female villain in the MCU and other than, I guess, Nebula, but she's not a main villain.
She's like, eh.
There's been some henchmen or whatever,
Yeah,
but
she's much more of like a henchman. I wouldn't really consider her like a main villain.
No. This is the first main female villain, and she's not great
at all.
And this next one is Ghost and Ant-Man and the Wasp, who no one remembers.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's even another one scheduled after that. So that's it for
They
now.
They fucked up twice, and they're just like, oh shit, go back.
Edit point, I totally forgot about the MCU TV show villains, because you got Agatha and Carly Morgenthau. Those are also female villains, and I would argue that neither of them are very good. So, point made. Bye. Actually, while I'm here, there was other stuff I wanted to bring up that I didn't say. The fact that they get everybody onto spaceships as Asgard is exploding is like exactly what happens in Age of Ultron, where the helicarriers show up and they get everybody off of Sokovia. While that's exploding, I also wanted to say that while I enjoy Mark Ruffalo's performance as Bruce Banner, sometimes it feels like watching Jerry Seinfeld play the Hulk. Okay, that's it. Bye.
Great job, guys.
That's really bad.
You're doing great.
That's really bad. Why? Why would you do it?
They tried. Not very hard, but they tried.
Really embarrassing. Anyway, and now all the Sakaar stuff is most of the movie, really. And you get that intro with Jeff Goldblum, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
He's so funny, and he's just allowed to do whatever he wants.
He vaporizes somebody.
He vaporizes him. A man melts
him into
in
goop.
this. That's almost as good as turning into a skeleton. That's second, turning a man to goo with a big stick.
Yeah.
That's great. And his
weird henchman.
Yeah, she's in all of Taika's other movies. Also,
I love her in this movie.
She's fantastic in all those, and she's so terrific in this. Her first moment where she calls her trash.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
No, she's the best.
Do you know? She provides a voice for a Disney character for any one of the Disney movies. She is the fucking grandma in Moana.
What?
Right? Yeah. Isn't that shocking?
That's not what I would have expected.
Can
but
you even
right.
picture that? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
But great. She has one of the best songs in that movie. But she is wonderful. I hope that she's in just all of these. But does she die in this?
No.
Good.
I don't
bring her back.
I mean, she's not in the post-credit scene with Jeff Goldblum.
That's true. Oh yeah, just talk about that now. I don't think that's a great post-credit scene. I don't think it's that great.
One of the weaker ones.
Not a great joke to end on either. Like, it's fine, but I don't care that much.
Yeah. And then the other post-credit scene was just set up for Infinity
I really
War.
like that, because the whole movie's kind of fun mostly, and then that's kind of intimidating. I like that. And we don't know at that point that Loki took the Infinity Stone. Like, we kind of know.
Yeah, because he
us.
passed by the Tesseract again.
Yeah, but I took that as just like he remembers that from Avengers.
Yeah, I wouldn't have assumed that it was, he took it, because, like,
right,
why would he
yeah.
have taken it, but...
Maybe in the Infinity War trailer they show him holding it, and if that came out before this, I guess maybe there were theories, but I don't know. I can kind of picture him holding it in that trailer, though. I kind of feel like that happened. Either way, that's another scene I don't think is great. Actually, the scene that Hela's in with the treasure vault or whatever, and you see the fake Infinity Gauntlet. I don't think that's that great a joke. Like, because that's in the first Thor movie or whatever, and that was a big Easter egg at the time, and then everyone was like, oh, what does it mean? It's fine. You see the casket of Eternal Winters from the first Thor movie and all sorts of stuff, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Just one of the lesser scenes in the movie to me. I don't think that fake Infinity Gauntlet joke is a great joke.
It's one of the ones that definitely falls kind of flat, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum is at his absolute peak in this movie. The scene where he's also introducing himself after that, because you get the introduction scene where he melts the guy and he's talking about sparkles, which is a joke they stole from Amazing Spider-Man 2, because he calls Electro that the entire movie and they just took it.
Wow, I didn't hear any thunder, but out of your fingers, was that like sparkles? A god named Sparkles?
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
But then he has the scene where he's like, my name's Grandmaster, and he's playing a piano. Or
oh,
like
yeah,
Jeff Goldblum is a pianist in real life also. So
I did know that.
Little thing for you, but the big thing that we still have to talk about, there's a couple things, but the most divisive thing in this movie, I think, is the Hulk, because it's a little bit different than the Hulk we're familiar with in the rest of the MCU.
A little bit.
Couple ways, and a different Bruce Banner that we're familiar with in a couple ways. We get that first gladiator scene, which is right out of Planet Hulk, and I think it's fantastic.
I really like that scene.
Yeah, it's a great surprise seeing him barge through those doors, like, we know that it's him, but I think future generations not knowing, that'll be a huge surprise moment down the track, which is great.
This is one of the very few times that I think them using the comic name is good, because he's announced as the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, right.
And I was like,
do that.
that's good.
The best way to do it.
Yeah.
I love all of Jeff Goldblum's nicknames for people too in this. When he's calling him the criminally seductive Lord of Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I love the huge Jeff Goldblum hologram in the center.
Yeah.
Take to the skies. All the stuff he says is, he's just so. I don't know if he knows how funny he is.
Yeah.
I don't think he does.
I want him to narrate everything.
Yeah.
Because it would be great.
Well, he would not say what's on the page. I think like 80% of this movie was ad-libbed also.
I hope so.
But yeah, the first Hulk action sequence is great. We get a lot of the sun's getting real low, and I remember losing my mind over the weaponization of that as like a comedy thing. Like I love it though. I think it's
great. I think it's.
I was shocked.
It is a combination of a little fucked up, but I also love it.
I love it because that's a thing we know, and I just love because the first time he does it, it's almost genuine. Like it's almost like, oh, their teammates Thor saw Natasha do that and it worked, and then later on he's saying it to just Bruce Banner, and that's when it really becomes a joke. But even just the suggestion of bringing back that line, I was shocked that they would do that. Yeah. And then Deadpool 2 also does it to the Juggernaut, which is a pretty good use of a character. The Hulk in this, I don't know what it is, but the performance is different from Mark Ruffalo.
I have one complaint right away.
Is it the ass? Because you see the Hulk's ass in this.
You sure do.
I think we always talk about how much of Mark Ruffalo's ass or the Hulk's ass you see in all of the movies with the Hulk that we talk about. This is the most. This is the most yet.
That is not my complaint, but I do feel bad for...
You never complain about that.
Yeah.
Why would you?
I do feel bad for the CG artists that had to do that, though.
That's the best job in the
because they
world.
had to spend
That's fantastic.
painstaking hours just perfectly carving out the Hulk's ass.
Such a great job.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd love it.
I would do it in a heartbeat for
but
free.
But the thing I was talking about at the beginning that I thought of that I really hated, the horrible auto-tune on the Hulk's voice.
Oh, I didn't even notice it.
You bad friend!
There is awful auto-tune every time he speaks.
Really?
Yes.
I had not noticed that at all.
I don't know how you could not have noticed it.
What do you mean
auto-tune? It is
auto-tune?
really, really bad.
Like T-Pain style auto-tune?
I mean, not in the way that T-Pain uses it, but it is very clear that they're using like auto-tune on Mark Ruffalo's voice. Like he's already trying to do like a Hulk impression, and then they put auto-tune over it. And it just sounds awful.
Wow,
every single time he speaks.
I guess I'm deaf, because I did not notice that at all.
I think, when you watch this movie again, or if you end up seeing any clips from this movie again with the Hulk in it, just listen and you can tell that there's very obvious auto-tune over it, and it sounds awful.
Wow, this is the first I've ever heard of it.
It is the worst.
That is... Okay, well, there you go. I had not noticed it. Maybe you've ruined it for me now when I go back.
Other than that, I actually don't really mind the Hulk overall. There's other very weird decisions made with his character, but in general, I think it's okay.
I really like it. I think it's great. I'm not against the Hulk in this at all. I think Mark Ruffalo's performance has shifted from just a scientist who has this horrible secret and he just doesn't want to deal with it to he's embraced how stressed he is at this point.
Yeah, I do like that he's taken it in the direction of, like, he kind of says it perfectly in the movie. They both have a hand on the wheel.
Right.
But
he's locked in the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see why people are against it. Probably mostly because, it's not the real Hulk, even though this is probably more accurate to what the Hulk is usually like, instead of like just big and angry all the time.
Comic-wise, like talking and stuff.
Yeah. Like
he talks like a child basically and says like Hulk mad and stuff like that.
I feel like if anything, this is closest to like comic accurate Hulk we've gotten.
What about when he punched that dog in the dick in the Hulk 2003 movie? That was pretty close to the comic.
Yeah, that was incredible.
That was a great moment. That's truly incredible. That's the Incredible Hulk for me.
Yeah. I think it's funny that I feel like in each movie that the Hulk is in, the actual Hulk looks more and more like Mark Ruffalo every time.
Oh yeah,
like
until they go all the way.
Yeah, like this is like super close to looking like Mark Ruffalo, and then obviously in Endgame they just go all in and it's literally just his face.
Well, there's a point in the movie when he's watching the video of Hulk getting sucked out of the airlock or whatever, the Quinjet, and it's Bruce Banner's face
their
and Hulk's
faces
face,
go
and they
to
merge, and it just looks the
Which
same.
I think that's a cool shot. I like that a lot.
I love that whole scene.
Yeah.
Even that whole Strongest Avengers setup, that's funny. But then, especially when Natasha Romanoff shows up, like, I knew it was coming, but that still surprises me to just see her in this at all. Like, that is, hearing what she said at the end of Age of Ultron is so satisfying when she just pops up and it's like, oh my god, like, I'm right back in 2015 again. I love that moment so much, and that's the thing that finally calms him down after 2 years. Like, that is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I love all the scenes before where Hulk and Thor are fighting and then he's training or whatever. I like all that. But I think that once he becomes Bruce Banner again, that's my favorite Hulk stuff in this. Maybe it's just because I like watching Mark Ruffalo. I think he's a good actor, but I really like him in this.
Yeah.
I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's fantastic in this. Like, whether he's Hulk or just Bruce Banner, I feel like through the whole movie, he's just incredible.
Yeah.
I just love him.
All week, I just keep saying this with having no reason to say it, but I just keep going, Tony wears his pants super tight.
Yeah.
That's my favorite.
Just the whole movie,
line.
the gag of him, like, just pulling, like...
Yes. Yeah, because he dresses like Tony Stark, which is also, like, a great little gag. I love that he's just in, like, this Duran Duran t-shirt and his tacky blazer and his sunglasses. Exactly. That's great. And he's like, I need a disguise. I'll be Tony Stark. It's like, nobody fucking knows who that is. That's so funny. Although he does use a slur in that scene.
Oh yeah,
can't be saying that. Man.
That was really weird.
He got in a lot of trouble for that, I think. Or not him, he didn't write it, but
yeah,
you know, that's not good. And I forgot about it when I watched this again for the first time this week, and that shook me to my core. I did not remember that at all. That is such a weird line to put in this movie. No, I really like him, and I know we're gonna probably read some letters later of people who really don't like him in this. I just like what Mark Ruffalo's done with the Hulk. Like, I like looking at him in the Avengers, and he's a lot more calculated, and he's depressed, and he's serious. He's talking about how he tried to kill himself and all that. And then, as time goes on, he just realizes, like, he's on a fucking alien planet. He's hanging out with gods. He's going to Asgard, and he's just embraced... I think he's just embraced the chaos at this point, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I love how stressed out he is.
I feel like where he ends up in Endgame is kind of just the embodiment of, like, yeah, he's given up trying to fight it. Like, this is just this is the life he lives now. Might as well just go with it.
He put the body and the brain together, or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love all that
Hulk
stuff.
out.
Dream. Yeah, I love all that.
Yeah.
He just wants to get a picture with me. This one's even saying no, he doesn't. That movie's so fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, my only real problem is just the awful auto-tune on his voice. I don't it bothers me so much. Okay. I think it might just be like how unnatural it sounds to me, but I'm sure other people don't care about it, but it just bothers me so much, and I don't know why.
My consensus is it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a choice that they made.
Yeah, barely
and I mean,
an inconvenience.
I see why they did it, because especially in the scene where they're, like, in the Quinjet and he's, like, turning back into Banner is, like, when the auto-tune is, like, full-on auto-tune. But I think it's just to show that, like, it's, like, a combination of, like, Banner and Hulk.
Well, this is the first time that Mark Ruffalo's ever done the voice.
Yeah.
There was Lou Ferrigno before this, but yeah, no, I think it's fine.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, from all the episodes we've done, I think I end up catching, like, weird audio shit
probably,
like, more often. So I think it might just be my audio-oriented brain just hating it.
You just need to get your ears clean, Franny.
Anyway,
we have to talk about the score, thow, if we're talking about sound.
The score is very good.
It's crazy. It's from Mark Mothersbaugh, who's from, like, Devo. Like, he is got the
that's
exact
understandable.
aesthetic
Yeah.
that you want. It sounds like an arcade, like the whole movie, and it's great. It's all synthy. Nothing in the MCU sounds like this ever. I love it. It's
I
crazy.
think all of the score and even the licensed music I do like.
It's really just Immigrant Song, I think, but it plays at the start and the end, and both of those sequences are incredible.
Yeah.
And the song's great too. And both times I was watching it, I just cranked the volume as loud as it fucking could be, and it wasn't even loud enough for me.
Yeah, I feel like it is perfect. Like that song is perfectly used in this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big Zeppelin fan, but
I still like
yeah,
it.
it's great. Yeah, it's great.
It was incredible.
It's really great use of it. The whole ending action sequence is really great too, I think. I love Hulk's
No
fight
complaints.
with wolves. We haven't talked about Valkyrie really, Tessa Thompson, but she's great in this. I really enjoy her dynamic with Thor.
Yeah, I feel like she's very good in this, but I feel like she doesn't do too much.
I think I wouldn't say that. I like her a lot in this. She's in it a lot in the second half. She's in most of it.
Yeah, she's like
got a
that's
lot
why I feel like it's weird because I feel like she is in a lot of it, but I don't know that she does that much. At
Maybe
least to
not.
me.
Okay, well that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I still like her as a character. I think she is still a fun character in this movie.
Yeah, I know. I think she has a lot of great lines and jokes. I enjoy her and Bruce Banner feeling like they know each other all the time. I love when she drinks the entire thing of scotch in like
3
5
seconds.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy her character, and it'll be great to see more of her.
Yeah,
she's in Endgame briefly too.
I am glad that they're keeping her around, and hopefully she's in like Thor 4 and
Yeah, I'm sure she will be.
Yeah.
And the look of the Valkyrie, especially in that sequence on the fucking Pegasus, like that is like
Incredible.
the greatest image you could put in these movies. And then it leads to them in Endgame, and that army is just so incredible to see. It's like visually, I just love that we have a Thor movie that has dragons and Pegasus and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It is just fully embraced its comic
Yeah,
book
what
vibes.
happened to that that comment in the beginning? That was like, "Oh, fuck mythology" or whatever.
Doesn't get it. It didn't get it. Doesn't have that 8-legged horse Loki fucks or whatever. Fucks. Anyway. Stan Lee cameo. He gives Thor a haircut. What do you think about Thor's haircut?
I actually really like it.
I like it too, but I'm glad he's back to normal now.
Yeah.
I don't like that was a great look for this in Infinity War, but I don't need it.
Yeah, I think it was definitely. It seems like it was definitely for a like specific phase of his character, but generally I do like the long hair more.
Yeah.
I also like how they designed the helmet for that fight. How they put the wings
Terrific.
on it. That was
Yeah.
like the perfect use of it.
Exactly, because you see the classic helmet in the first Thor movie, but you never really see it again. So I'm glad they were able to find like a more modern way to throw that in there.
Yeah,
I
it
really
was like
do
a
enjoy
super
that.
small thing. He just like adjusts them, and like
Yeah.
that's like all the attention they draw to
But
it, and
it
then it's
looks
never in the movie
cool.
again.
It
But yeah,
looks
it
cool.
looks great.
And I'm glad you mentioned helmets because something I didn't even notice until my second watch. Loki's using his helmet as a weapon in
yeah.
the final fight.
I
That's
thought that was great.
awesome. What a
Yeah.
great use of that
They're
character.
fucking hooks.
Yeah, of course you
Like,
would.
of course he would use
It's
them as
just-
a weapon.
It's something I've never thought of. I never was like, oh, a weapon. It's like, no, that's a
Yeah.
hat. But I
mean-
guess not.
He uses 2 daggers, so he doesn't usually have a hand free. But I mean, it does make sense that if
makes
he's got a
sense.
hand free, then just fuck it, pull it off your head and just start
Yeah, I guess
swinging
so.
it.
It's just I never would have thought of that.
Yeah,
The villain isn't great, but I don't even like.
it's not even that big of a deal.
I enjoy watching her. I like Scourge's last stand where he runs in with the
With the
machine guns, and it looks
AK-47s.
like the cover of Doom. Like he's standing
Yeah.
on everybody and shooting them. That's rad. I love that. And Carl Urban's just great and everything. I like that he's in like every nerd thing ever. It's just- he's so much fun. Everyone's seen The Boys except you.
Yep.
But it's a great show and he's great in it. He was Judge Dredd, Franny. He was Dredd.
It's
in
awesome.
Dredd.
Good to know.
Okay, bye. yeah.
no,
I-
outro just. Alright, bye.
and they make him the Executioner, which is a character from the comics, and he's
Yeah.
usually hanging out with the Enchantress or whatever.
Yeah, I was curious, so I ended up looking it up, and I kind of I like skimmed through the Wikipedia article on the Executioner.
Yeah, they were some of the first like villains in the first Avengers comics, which is what I remember them from mostly because I think I still have it. So the first real paperback comics I ever got were like the first 10 issues of the Avengers, and they're in that. So it's just a terrific movie. I think it's everyone's. Like it's up there with everybody. It's not my number one favorite, but it's so high.
It's
up
in
there.
like the top 5.
Oh
like
my God,
it is
yeah.
absolutely one of the best.
It's definitely one of the best. And I'm actually really sad that we won't get to talk about the 2017 movies anymore because they're great. And we have lots of fun stuff coming up, but God, this year was a real refresher after everything. And we'll start with Noah. This is one of the ones that I absolutely love if I view it in a standalone vacuum, but I like it a little less when I view it in context with the rest of the MCU. Gabe, I hear you sighing. Stop it right now. I think the setup at the end is a little bit of a disjointed letdown when you know what happens in Infinity War. Put a pin in that. We'll talk about that in a second. But all of that aside, this is a super hilarious and incredible film. Without a doubt, the funniest MCU movie for me and probably most people. I appreciate how dark it can get at times while still remaining hilarious. But anyway, back to the negative. Bruce Banner sucks in this, and I hate Mark Ruffalo's performance. I don't know what weird choices he was making, but they were all the wrong ones, that's for sure. But it's not enough to ruin the film or anything. Still an amazing time. Always be happy to chuck this on if I'm in an MCU mood. Okay. Taking that pin out. Because...
awful take.
The idea... Look. It's fine. It's mostly positive.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I mean about the
Hulk thing? Yeah.
No, the Infinity War thing, just in general.
Right. That's one of the stupidest arguments people like to bring up about this movie. The idea that the whole third act is about saving Asgard, getting all of Asgard onto a ship, all these people. Asgard isn't a place, it's a people. Again, that incredible moment where he embraces his inner power after talking with his father. I love the "Were you Thor, God of Hammers" line. Like, it's great because you think about it, it's like, no, it was never the hammer, was it? Like, it was like you
just never realized it.
You never embraced it before, and then he does embrace it, and he's incredible. You see that to greater extent in Infinity War, obviously, and maybe even greater extent in Endgame. I think greater extent in Infinity War. That's probably his shining moment in this entire movie.
His moment was definitely in Infinity War.
Yeah, he's great in Endgame, but that's a different thing. But yeah, I love that whole thing. He loses his eye, which we didn't talk about, and then they give him a new eye like so soon, which is a thing I don't like.
Yeah, I like the eye patch.
It's a great look.
Yeah,
but whatever, I guess.
But I mean, I guess the eye patch is kind of associated with like the short hair. So like,
I guess so. But he has short hair that whole movie. Rocket can give him the eye at the start of Endgame or something.
Oh shit, he does get it in Infinity War.
Yeah, he gets it the second he shows up on that ship.
That's right. Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah, that's not a thing I love in that movie. I love most of that movie, but that's definitely one of those little moments where it's like, you could have kept that.
You could have kept it a little longer at least.
I think the eye patch is also supposed to be more like his connection to his dad than anything.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason the whole Asgard thing is great in this is that you have the Asgard's not a place, it's a people. So he gets all the people out. He realizes, okay, we have to destroy Asgard. We gotta destroy my home. It's that way I can save everybody. Surtur shows up, he wrecks everything. You get Big Monster, which is another one.
Big Monster.
Big Monster, another one of the greatest lines in the movie. He gets everybody out. Heimdall gets out. Everybody gets out. Hela dies or whatever. And a day is saved. And then it's immediately not saved. But that's the point. For one, Asgard in the Thor movies, unfortunately, it's never been much of a character. Nobody there is anything.
Yeah,
really.
Is anyone sad to see Asgard go?
They're just...
Probably not.
It's just, it's just like the kingdom and the people we know, and then just peasants who are nobody.
It's just the place that Thor's from.
Exactly.
Like, that's all. It's just...
I don't have a connection with Asgard.
There's been, like... We've seen, like, part of, like, the peasant area and the castle that Thor lives in.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. And maybe, like, the Bifrost and, like, the bridge. But that, like, barely counts.
No, it doesn't... Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But so that's one thing. It's like... On one level, we don't need to go back to Asgard because we don't really care about Asgard. And we even saw Asgard again in Endgame, and, great. But it's not that interesting an environment compared to all the other environments we have. So fuck it off. That's fine. We don't need it. And second point, the in-cinema point, is that the whole thing is Thor needs to feel as desperate at the start of Infinity War as he possibly can. So he spends so much time. He has one of his greatest battles getting everybody onto the ship. He has all these hero moments, and he gets everybody out of there, and he wins, and then instantly he doesn't win because he's crushed by something that's more powerful than he is. And then he has that whole speech in Infinity War about how he's lost everything, how he lost his brother and his sister and his mom and his dad and everything that we've ever seen, and his best friend, and like as everything is wrecked for him. So of course that's gonna happen. It's brilliant that they had the balls to end this movie. The whole third act is saving Asgard. And the first thing that happens next time we see these characters is everyone has died.
Yeah, it's incredible that they had the balls to literally exterminate all of Asgard in the first place.
Yeah, right.
And also, I just don't understand the argument because, like, are you just not allowed to set up for character arcs?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, they get rid of Asgard because, for one, those are all just random characters that are, like, just faceless characters. They don't have names. So it doesn't matter that all of them die. They're just there to set up for Thor's arc through all of Infinity War.
Yeah.
Why is that a bad thing? Like, I get that it's cruel. Like, yeah, it really sucks for Thor.
That's the point,
But
though.
that's the point. It's to set up for a character arc.
Right, yeah. Man, I don't like how this Darth Vader guy's being really mean to everybody. That makes me sad. This movie sucks. Like, you can't say that about dramatic tension.
It is just, like, an illogical argument.
I think maybe the thing is people think, well, why should I care at the end? Like, I think it's more people going back to Ragnarok after Infinity War, and they're like, why should I care about them saving the Asgardians if they're just going to die 10 minutes later?
Well, that's not the point.
That's not the point. It doesn't ruin it because you know that it's all for nothing. That makes it more tragic,
Yeah.
if anything. There's that level of tragedy, and if you want to just watch Thor Ragnarok and remove it from Infinity War, you can, and it's a happy ending. But if you take it with the context of Infinity War, it's insanely tragic.
Yeah, I feel like, if anything, people that, like, say that, like, it's bad just don't understand the point of it happening in the first place.
Right, yeah.
Like, the point of it wasn't for him to save all the Asgardians. Again, the point of it was to set up for the arc he goes through in the next movie, because they knew there was going to be another movie after.
Yeah, that's how it works.
I don't know.
That's
I mean,
how we feel.
You're more than welcome to still not like it. I mean, whatever, but...
Yeah. Adam, I'm going to fuck his last name up. Palestides? I'm not sure. I think more than anything, this film signified the biggest tonal shift in the MCU away from the more grounded stories we've been seeing as we transition into the more Kirby-esque side of things. Yes, we had Doctor Strange, which was full of great visuals and cosmic madness, but Thor was a known quantity that the viewers were familiar with, and seeing that step change with him helped steer the MCU into what we will see through Phase 4. I also adored the introduction of Valkyrie and the Grandmaster, truly the role Jeff Goldblum was born to play, and let's take a moment to acknowledge the amazing marketing campaign and the shorts that and the shorts with the Team Thor.
I forgot about the shorts.
Which
I
came
love
out
those.
Post-Civil War and the Tale of Daryl. The one with the Grandmaster remains one of the funniest things the MCU has ever produced. Yeah, all of those are fantastic. I'm sure everyone knows about those.
God, I need to go back and watch those. I remember loving those so much when I first
Surely
saw
those
them.
can't be canon. Was Thor on Earth during Civil War? There's no way.
Absolutely not. There's no way.
It can't be canon, but I love them.
He explains in the beginning, he was off looking for the Infinity Stones.
Exactly,
He couldn't have been on Earth.
He couldn't have been on Earth, but I still love those.
Well, when was the last time we saw him? Age of Ultron?
But remember, he went in the bath and had a freak out.
That's right. Okay, yeah, those definitely.
There's no time
there's no way.
in between. Yeah, because he goes to look for Infinity Stones, and that's where we find him. So
I'm still glad those exist, though.
Oh, they're great. See, that's like what Taika does in those. That's basically what we do in the Shadows. But if instead of Thor, it was vampires. It's just like these vampires who live together, and they're just guys, but they have all this weird vampire shit happen to them, and it's fantastic. There's a little reference to that when Korg's showing him the big fork, and he's like, "This will only be good for 3 vampires huddled close together, or whatever." So
yeah,
that's fun because that's a fucking terrific movie. He also says, "Okay, well, this is against our opinion, but in a more positive way than we feel." And can we take a moment to talk about Cate Blanchett as Hela? I'm just mad that it's unlikely we'll ever see her again. She'd make for a fun recurring antagonist. Same with Ultron. Can you imagine them quipping together? I'm glad people enjoy that character.
I feel like she could have been good if she was recurring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like they just didn't develop her very much. It was kind of just
not so much.
They kind of just threw out her backstory. That was about it.
And I like her backstory.
Yeah, her backstory's interesting, but there's not much to her.
I feel like I have a hard time connecting with Cate Blanchett in a lot of movies. I've always felt that way, which is mean, but I don't know. She's not one of my homies like a lot of other people are, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like performance-wise, she does a fine job.
She's totally fine, yeah.
Like, it's totally not her. I think it's just the character is just not that interesting to me.
It is a very silly villain, though. Like, it's very hammy when you think about it.
Yeah. Thor's sister, the goddess of death.
Right, yeah.
Comes back after fucking Odin turns into a bunch of pixels.
Yeah, you turned into dust
to become the queen of Asgard and take over the universe.
That's how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
9 realms weren't enough.
Earlier we alluded to the second great use of the Bifrost. I love an action sequence inside of that. Like this thing we've known for all these movies. Great idea. Like, it's very brief. It's like a 40-second scene, but it's great.
Getting knocked out of the Bifrost.
Yeah, and then you just end up anywhere on a fucking trash planet with Jeff Goldblum. That's great. That's where I want to be.
It's great.
Yeah, I don't know how he was playing pure imagination from Willy Wonka in that scene, though.
Yeah.
He must have found that on Earth.
Yeah. When I heard that, I was like...
It's a weird choice.
Yeah, I was like trying to think if it was coming from somewhere else, like from inside my house or something, and I was watching it in the morning, and I was like, nobody else is awake.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was coming from the movie.
It's the movie, man. Which I get it, because it's like a trip out song, and you have the boat scene in Willy Wonka, which is similar to this, where it's just going through a dark room, weird shit's going on. It's just weird that he would have that song. I can't remember what movie, but I feel like another movie that same year used the exact same song. And maybe that's not true, but I remember in the theater being like, is this the same as this other movie? But I can't remember what that movie was. So
when did Ready Player One come out?
The next year, but they definitely did. And maybe that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
maybe it was retroactive.
That's what I thought of.
That's so weird that you remember that movie uses that song.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember that.
What a great
and I don't even think it's in the movie. I think it's literally like in the
trailer,
trailers or something.
Maybe, well, that trailer would have been out around the same time as this movie.
God, I can't believe they're turning the second book into a movie.
What?
Yeah, they're making another one. And the writer of those books has already confirmed that he's writing a third book now, and they're already working on making it into another movie. So there's going to be 2 more. Do you know about the second book? Yeah. They're turning it into a movie. And there's going to be another one, Ready Player 3. If you think the second book doesn't have a title that makes sense, they're making a third one. You don't relate to him at all?
Not at all.
You don't feel any connection to the epic main character that spouts quotes and loves pop culture?
Parzival, yeah. No, I don't. I'm gonna cry.
I no longer want to be alive. Anyway, do we have anything else to say about Thor Ragnarok? And ending the episode on a very depressing note, the fact that Ready Player One is gonna be a series of movies.
He dresses up like Buckaroo Banzai and dances to fucking Staying Alive while riding the Iron Giant against Mechagodzilla. Franny, I can't.
Is that not your dream movie?
No, that's
with the Ninja Turtles and Overwatch characters.
Oh, are they in it? I don't remember.
And fucking whatever else is in that movie.
He flies the DeLorean.
Doesn't the Iron Giant do the fucking Terminator thing?
Yeah, he puts the thumb up.
Yeah, racing the Batmobile in the DeLorean.
Yeah, I'm being assaulted on all senses. The start of the movie, they say you can go rock climbing with Batman, and then they show it. And they go to Minecraft.
There's a chest burster.
Yeah, Chucky shows up.
Yep, sure does.
Master Chief.
Isn't that your favorite movie?
No, Franny, that might be my least favorite movie, and you know that.
Anyway, we're gonna have to. I'm gonna make you watch it again next time I come over.
No,
we're watching Ready Player. You know what? We're gonna see Ready Player 2 together in the theater when it comes out first day.
I had an absolute aneurysm watching that first one in the theater. I had a great time, but goddamn. Anyway, you can find, unless I kill myself, you can find us on Instagram at Marvel Movie Pod. You can email us at marvelmoviepod@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at FlippedEgg. Franny is not on social media because he will be dead after this podcast stops recording. And if he keeps talking about Ready Player 2, I'm going to fucking kill him, and I'm going to kill myself.
No, you got to start getting excited for Ready Player 3.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I should already be prepping for Ready Player 3. Should
and
I read
the inevitable Ready Player 4.
God, doesn't make fucking sense.
Literally none of those titles make sense except for the first one.
I can't do this. Okay, bye.
Bye. Wash your hands. Get vaccinated.
Franny, you need to get vaccinated.
Yep.
It's not hard. You can just
It
walk
really
in and
isn't.
Do it. You should do it, Franny.
I should,
You
but
should
for now,
definitely
I
do
will
it.
be a hypocrite and tell other people to get vaccinated before me.
Don't make sure he gets vaccinated soon. Oh, I was gonna.
I think you're gonna inject me with something
I
else.
might, yeah. Oh, after this, yeah, fuck it for sure. I was gonna mention this. That's why I have a reminder on my phone that says Sharon Stone right now. I was gonna.
Okay.
I had a crude realization this morning about our Catwoman episode. That movie stars Halle Berry. And Sharon Stone. And I had completely fucking forgotten that one of Halle Berry's first acting roles was in the Flintstones movie.
That is true.
Where she played a character named Sharon Stone. Because stone, like rock, like
Wait a
caveman.
minute.
And I totally...
Is that real?
Yes.
I remember her
totally-
being in that movie, but I did not remember the name of that
I
character.
totally forgot about that, and I didn't bring it up, and I realized it this morning. So there you go.
Okay, next time I come over, we gotta watch Ready Player One.
Oh my
and
God.
both of the Flintstones movies.
Viva Rock Vegas!
Yeah. There's 2 of them, right?
There's 2 of them. There's
Yeah,
Flintstones. Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta watch those 3.
Sometimes I feel like...
Do you not
I
love
need
John
a
Goodman as Fred
vacation.
Flintstone?
Sometimes I feel like I want to go to the city of bedrock, the city of cavemen. I'd be a Flintstone. I'll tell you why.
That's how we're ending the episode. You gotta play us out with that, with that song.
Okay, bye.
Okay, see you next week.
Okay, bye. Sorry. I'm so sorry, everybody. Ready Player 2 threw me for a loop. Okay, bye.
I was just talking to him just a couple of minutes ago, and he was totally ready to kill any of us.
He did try to kill me.
Yes, me too. On many occasions. There was one time when we were children, he transformed himself into a snake, and he knows that I love snakes. So I went to pick up the snake to admire it, and he transformed back into himself, and he was like, "Yeah, it's me!" And he stabbed me. We were 8 at the time.